Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Brett McCollum, and I'm here today with Wayne Brooks. Today, we're going to be talking about a real estate ecosystem. But before we do, at Investor Fuel, we help real estate investors, service providers, and real estate entrepreneurs to 5X their businesses to allow them to build the businesses they've always wanted and live the lives they've always dreamed of. Without further ado, Wayne, how are you, man?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me.
Dude, I'm excited to be here with you. We got to catch up a little bit before the show here. Both of us from the, I call it, well, not your motherland, but from my motherland of Ohio.
Yeah.
But let's do this. Let's do the audience a favor here. Like, let's pull back the curtains a little bit, let people behind the scenes. Who is Wayne Brooks?
Yeah, man. Thanks for the quick intro. Just to dive in a little bit deeper, I am a real estate investor here in Northeast Ohio. Not from Northeast Ohio originally, though. I was born and raised in Jamaica, Kingston, Jamaica. And I moved to the U.S. in, I want to say, 2010 officially. Was living in Florida for a couple years. Went back to Jamaica because I just couldn't really find my footing, find my rhythm. And then found Cleveland in 2014 and been here ever since. And I've just been tinkering away, doing real estate deals. And, here we are today. So.
Okay, I have to ask because I'm from Ohio originally. I'm about an hour south of where you are, is where my family's all at, still to this day.
Sure.
You moved at one point, and you're from Jamaica, and you moved to Florida even. You know that the South exists. You know that no snow exists. This is my joke to my family all the time, by the way, Wayne. You know that. How do you land in Cleveland?
I mean, dude, I was born by the beach and with sun and all that stuff. So I'm used to warm weather, right? I actually never experienced living in snow and having the seasons change. It's summer all year round in Jamaica, right? So it was kind of it was a tough adjustment, but it was also like a challenge, and
Sure.
it was just cool to come to a state where you could just watch things change all the time. I think at where I was in my life at the time, I wanted a change anyway. Yeah. And I wanted something to kind of push me and do something different and, get out of my comfort zone. So that's kind of how I looked at it. And so I always said when it got cold, I'm like, I'm warm in my mind. I'm warm.
Yeah, right. Man, I have memories of like shoveling out of our home. Like literally I was the smallest one in the family, so they would push me out the window and then grab a shovel to shovel out our doors because of blizzards and such, and yeah. I'm like, golly, man, I'm like, I'm not going back. Florida we don't get that. We don't also, sorry, this is just a random thing, Wayne. This past year, this winter, Florida got 12 inches of snow. Can you believe that?
Well, my brother moved from Florida to Atlanta, and he was like, "I'm not moving to Cleveland. It's too cold there. There's too much snow." only to see him shoveling his driveway.
Right? That's what I'm saying, man. It's like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. So,
Yeah. It
all
was
right.
it's cool.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Yeah. So you grew up in Jamaica. How old were you when you moved originally? So that first move to Florida, how old were you?
That first move to Florida, I was 21.
21. Okay. And then back to Jamaica, and then back to Cleveland. And then around about how old were you when you finally made that leap?
Moved to Cleveland. I was about 23 going on 24.
Okay.
So yeah.
So kind of all around that same kind of time in life. Okay.
Yeah.
Very, very fair. Were you, and at that point in your life, what were you like? You're trying to find your footing. You mentioned, what was that like? What does that mean?
Well, I was going, like I said, I was kind of back and forth, right? So, at first I moved to the US, and then I didn't find real estate yet. So I was kind of like exploring other careers. I kind of always have been a serial entrepreneur. So I've never really had a job, right?
Yeah.
So I was kind of always exploring different ventures and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. So lived in Florida, in the Orlando area actually for, a couple of years. And like I said, I was just kind of going back and forth between, living in Jamaica still or living in Florida. And, my family had a business in Jamaica that I kind of was very integral in, running and keeping growing. And so I was doing that, but I always knew I wanted to do something like for myself, something that I owned, something that I created. And one of the things I always observed about, very wealthy people around me was they all owned some type of real estate. They all got involved in some type of real estate. Even if they had a business, they still was like, oh, he also owns that building or he also owns that property there or whatever. And yeah, I kind of stumbled on Cleveland after that, after I was talking to a buddy of mine that I was doing business with, and he said him and his uncle were flipping houses in Cleveland, Ohio. Knew nothing about it. I'm a risk taker. I'm a spontaneous kind of dude. Like if you tell me to go to Alaska because there's some cool opportunity there, I'm probably gonna get on the plane and go. That's kind of how I am.
Yeah.
So that's kind of just how I fell into it. Exploring and trying to find what felt right at the time. I had the freedom to do that, so I was just kind of weighing my options, and I landed on Cleveland.
Wow, very cool. Yeah, and I'm just making the joke since my whole family's from there and raised there and all that. So it's like I always joke with them. We're hopping on the phone, and right about November 1st, they're like, "Oh my God!" They start the complaining process, and they're like, "But it's starting. The skies are turning gray already," and I'm like, dude, there is a state literally called the Sunshine State. You know that, right? Like you're allowed to come here. That's my running joke, man. But very cool. So, what year was it? Would you say was it when you finally? Okay, I landed in Cleveland. When was that? You said it was 2014. Did I catch that?
Correct, 2014.
And then when did you really dip your toe in the water into real estate? Also at the same time, or?
So I moved to Cleveland in 2014 full time. The first time I discovered Cleveland was in 2013, and I just came to visit, on a random trip. I came in June to visit on a random trip, and I ended up buying a house on that very first trip.
No way.
Just because of how cheap the real estate was back then, how accessible it was. Inventory was everywhere. It was kind of like, and I think it was the same in Florida. During 2010, 2011, you could pick up stuff for peanuts even in Florida, but and I wasn't really looking at that market the way I was, the way I probably should have been. But yeah, in 2013, I flew to Cleveland, visited, and bought a property on the very first trip, and that property kind of just like taught me everything I needed to know. And
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
That's where the journey really began. But like, as far as settling, that happened in 2014.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, because, we talked about, you flipped a lot of houses since then, man. You've done a lot, so
Yeah.
When did you really kind of start getting into the full-time side of the real estate business?
I would say when I moved, and like landed in Cleveland, I already owned a property that I was still in the middle of trying to like stabilize. I was dealing with a lot of issues with the city, and I had to borrow money to try to get like the property renovated, and I didn't know anything about the process. I never used a title company before. I didn't use a realtor. I just, some guy pointed to a house, said that you could buy it for $15,000. I went to the bank, got him a cashier's check. He gave me a piece of paper and said, "Hey, this is your deed. Go to this address.
Go record it."
And go record it. And so I did that manual process. I didn't know about the whole, what a purchase agreement should look like, whatever, so I went through all that. And afterwards, I kind of got frustrated, and, because I was running into some roadblocks with that deal, and I wanted to get out. And Craigslist back then was like still a really hot thing.
Yeah.
So I posted the house on Craigslist, and this guy from Israel calls me out of state.
That sounds right. Also, yep.
Yeah. So this guy from Israel calls me and is like, "Hey, I want to buy that house." And I'm like, "Sure, it's yours. Take it." And then, he's like, "Tell me a little bit more about it, a little bit more about you, what's going on, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, "Dude, stop interviewing me. Just, you want to buy the house or not?" But, then, we kept talking. He called me the following day. We talked a little bit more. Turns out, like, he's one of my best friends today, but then it turns out that he was like a mentor for a lot of other investors. He had like 100 students of people that he taught how to invest in, in real estate in America. And Cleveland was his primary market at the time. And he's like, "Well, how about this? How about you don't sell that house? How about you help me buy more houses for my students and clients, and we'll just figure this stuff out together." And at the time, I was kind of just here trying to find my way at the same time. And I'm like, I really just want to sell this house. But once again, I'm a risk taker. I'm a guy that I don't say no to opportunity. And that's kind of where my full-time real estate journey began. Like, I started looking at deals. I started sending him stuff that I was finding and saying, "Hey, does this look like something that you guys want to buy?" And back and forth. And next thing I know, we're doing, 5-10 deals a month with his community.
That's a story and a half right there, friend. All right. So isn't it interesting that birthed out of frustration, out of angst, out of that comes the very thing that you need?
Opportunity. Yeah.
It's the cliche, where do you find a pearl?
Yeah.
It's made out of, it's over time in pressure, diamonds, from coal, out of pressure,
Yep.
How interesting. I love that story, man. So, and to this day, you say he's one of your best friends. Is that right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
How absolutely special is that? That's so cool.
Yep.
I love that you said too, like, stop interviewing me, man. Like, just buy the house or don't.
I was just frustrated at the time, man. I was what you called a motivated seller at the time.
Yeah,
for sure. That's before I even understood what that meant, what, wholesaling was, what motivation was,
What's his name?
Rafi.
What did Rafi say to you ultimately that made you go, okay?
I think it was just his persistence, man. He was just very, very, he basically was like, he's like, I'm like, "What price do you want the house for?" He's like, I don't want to buy it." I'm like, I'm like, "Dude, I'll give you a great price. Like, you name your price and it's yours." Cause I was done, literally, mentally done. He's like, "I don't want to buy it. Go sell it to somebody else." And I'm like, this guy's a lunatic.
But you
You
were
know?
drawn to that too, to some degree, right? Because you kept
Yeah.
talking to it, right? It's like,
Yeah.
dude, what does that
Yeah.
even mean? Yeah, I love that's so good.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
What great foresight from Rafi though, to see something in you though that said, I'm going to stay persistent and talk to lead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, man, the guy definitely changed my life. I mean, even like I said, when I said we're best friends, we spoke on stage together, even a little under a year ago at a conference in Jamaica, speaking to the same people
No way.
that, yeah, the people who were just like me, who didn't know that they could do it from out of state or out of the country and invest in real estate in America. And it came full circle. We talked about a lot of things over the last 10 years, and we've done hundreds of deals together at this point, and then we got to actually like educate people together on stage, which was really, really cool. Yeah.
Very like that full circle. Like, that's super
It was
cool.
a cool full circle moment. Yeah.
Dude, that's really amazing. Okay, this is a great transition point. So you're talking about international, but like today, what does business look like for you? Because you started off, you got the one house, this and the other. Now you're kind of, I'm imagining you were wholesaling for a while there, is what it kind of sounds like, and then you eventually you started flipping houses too, and like kind of bring it up to current for me.
Yeah, because I started off, just like I said, as pretty much started off not even realizing that I was wholesaling, right?
Right.
I didn't know what wholesaling was, even though that's what I was essentially doing, which was flipping paper, getting stuff under contract, passing it off for a finder's fee. It was already predetermined properties and buyers sitting, waiting for us to find them the next deal. So it's like we just kind of had like a flat transaction fee per deal, and we had a rotation. We had the same attorney, we had the same contractors, we had the same property managers. We send them through the same process each and every time, and we just had that going because, like I said, back then inventory was much easier to find. So that's kind of how I really got into the flow of doing a lot of transactions.
Yeah.
And afterwards, we started finding properties that probably we wanted to keep or needed work, and the client didn't want to do the work, so we started buying them ourselves, renovating them, and then selling them finished, right? So that's then how my like turnkey flip operation was kind of born, right? So to this day, right now, we still buy a lot of properties both in the inner city of Cleveland and surrounding suburbs of like Cuyahoga County. And we buy those properties, we put tenants, we renovate them, we put tenants inside, and then we sell them turnkey to out of state and out of country buyers who want cash flow. And that business does, we do somewhere between 80 to 100 deals a year doing that. Yeah. And then I still do retail flips. We do some sexier stuff, not as much because, like I said, I'm really just like an investor focused guy. It just makes more sense to me. It aligns more with the way I think. So it's just, does the numbers work? I put out a product each and every time, churn and burn. So that's what the flipping side looks like right now. I also have some rentals. Believe it or not, Cleveland's a really cool market for Airbnbs. People wouldn't believe it, but it's a big sporting city. It's a big medical travel city. People travel for the universities here, right? There's just
a lot of like the medical side, all that too.
Yeah, a lot of there's a lot of business travel because of like there's a lot of companies that are headquartered here. You know what I mean? So
huge, yeah.
Even when sports betting became legal in Ohio, we got so many business travelers just coming in from that got like relocated from Vegas and from all different types of places, and our homes just stayed booked the whole time.
Yeah. And right now it's playoff time, and the Cavs are actually good. Like what?
Number one in the East, bro. So So that's another aspect, right? So,
Sure.
so we've kind of developed this ecosystem,
Yeah.
which is we have our construction side of things where we have in-house construction. So like all the properties that we're buying, we're renovating them in-house. I have about 22 guys that work directly for me, and it's all just, you know, pick up the property, move it to, you know, the construction team. They do their thing. We move it to the leasing team. They do their thing, and then we move it to the dispo side of the business. And then we have a pretty much a coaching / consulting business called Deal Direction, where we pretty much package our entire ecosystem, like our lenders, our contractors, our title company, our agents, our attorney, you know, property manager, and we guide investors, kind of like what I've been doing for the last decade. We guide investors who don't live in Cleveland. So if you live in California, New York, Florida, Israel, Dubai, Jamaica, wherever, we can help you build a portfolio here in Cleveland using all our resources, all our
Yeah.
knowledge, you know, all our experience, and we pretty much do the whole thing for you. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind
Dude,
of
I
a little
love that.
yeah.
Yeah, that you hit the nail on the head with the word ecosystem. It's all contained within one organization, and one feeds the other to the other to the other, and I think that's really incredible.
Yeah.
So on your now, I'm just gonna ask some nuanced questions. So because I am from there, have you noticed? And I know I've noticed, but like I grew up in Ohio before you came to Ohio, and Cleveland was not the place then as it is today. It's been on a come up since probably mid 2000s is probably when it really started,
Yeah.
but maybe right around that 2014 time when you got there. Um, it's been on a massive like come up, like Battery Park. Have you seen that development over there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, like it's like we had a house that we renovated in Battery Park that we did, and I mean, I remember when we bought it, I was like, "There's no way that we're buying this house over here right now," because I know this area. This doesn't make any sense.
Gentrification's real, man.
It's absolutely, and I see, obviously, so I think east side of Cleveland still hasn't really, not seeing much gentrification probably, but I mean, proper east side, right? But then you got that southeastern side that seems like it is getting some love. But man, where are you at from like you said, you're more on the investor focus, like target areas, like where's like for Cleveland, where do you see the most activity?
I'm heavily on the east side, dude. Heavily
Yeah.
on the east side. I know some investors who only invest west side because it's more well, one, you don't have what's called point of sale, so you don't have like a lot of city interference on the west side suburbs. So the city doesn't really bother you to do anything with your properties, and it's just a different vibe. If obviously, if you're from Cleveland or you're from Ohio, you know that like Cleveland's like east side versus west side. The people on the west don't go to the east, and the people on the east don't go to the west, and that whole jazz. So, I'm betting heavily on the east side because, like you said, it hasn't developed as much as the west side. There's still a lot of dilapidated homes, a lot of opportunities, what I call it, right? And
Sure.
it can't remain that way. So as soon as one home gets like renovated, stabilized, looking great, well, you know what? Now it motivates the rest of them on the street to kind of now me or another investor is going to see the opportunity and be like, huh, that one looks great and it's sold for this much. Well, that means this one can do the same, and so on and so forth. And don't worry, it's coming. It has to come. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah, and in the meantime, like there are enough incentivizations, with if it's Section 8 or some other opportunity zone, right, that you can do on east side that's like incredible. I mean, because like you said, I've picked up properties east side there for like $8,000. I mean, that
was back then,
like,
but yeah.
We did one for $8K once, and I was like, this doesn't seem.
Yeah.
What am I missing? I'm a little bit scared, and like, and it wasn't like it was this amazing, like, we turned it, I think, for like 58 or 60K when it was done, but like picked up for 8K, man.
Yeah.
It was
very low risk.
And we did, same as you probably. We sold it to an investor that was going to, rent it out.
Yep.
That's it, man.
Yep.
But
100%.
yeah, it's funny that, like I like, dude, I get it. Like that's home turf, so to speak. And I love that you're doing that there, man. And where do you see right now? Obviously, you're betting heavily on the east side. Is that you seen that's the most opportunity for Cleveland still? Is that your
Um, I think opportunities everywhere. I always tell people this. I don't think deals are found. I think deals are created. Right.
sure?
So I think opportunities everywhere. I think Cleveland itself is just where I've decided to go deeper instead of going wider. I know a lot of investors are doing deals in multiple markets, right? They're doing a deal in Florida and Atlanta and Missouri and Cleveland. Yeah, I get it. Um, I'm just heavily hyper focused on this market because I know
Yeah,
that there's more than enough here
plenty.
for me and actually all of us to make a really really decent living. So opportunistically, I think east side or west side can work. It's just about your capacity and ability to find or create good deals and whatever that looks like, and then also your strategy, tailoring your strategy, because I know investors who will not touch Section 8 rentals. they
Right.
they, they have a misconception, or they have a notion in their minds of like Section 8 equals bad. Section 8 equals, trashing my properties. Oh, I don't deal with them because of the inspections, blah, 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 blah. I have guys that have 200, 300 doors and it's all Section 8, and it's just beautiful. It's just great for them because
Yeah.
they've mastered the process, right? I think
Right.
whatever you do, you just master your process and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I like that. And that's the beautiful thing about real estate investing too, right? Is
Yeah.
what's right for you and it may be not right for me. What's right for me not be right for you. But there's
Yep.
enough opportunities in everything that we're doing for us to all do something well.
Yep.
Um, dude, I love it, man. So, what's next for you guys? What are you looking forward to?
Well, really building out our continue to build out and refine our ecosystem to serve others. That's a big thing, right?
Mhm.
Um, I have a team of real estate agents that work with me. I have obviously the construction side of the business that services those investor clients, right? Um, and we have just partnerships with property managers, title companies. So we just want to continue to make our processes and flows better, to do more deals and make ultimately, once your financial goals align, everybody's good, right? So if we can make our investors more money, it means we're making more money, right?
Sure.
And that's the goal, right? So um to continue to optimize on that side of things, to build out the coaching and consulting side of it as well. So because there's a lot of people who are everyday people who are not in real estate, dentists and doctors and teachers and lawyers and just, construction workers, whoever, that they probably could have some exposure, but they don't know what to do. They don't know the first step. And we kind of want to have a place where they can come and say, hey, we'll hold your hand. We'll show you how to do your first deal and grow your portfolio and build wealth through property ownership. It helps you with, long, retirement planning, cash flow, tax savings. There's so many benefits to owning real estate, um, that we just kind of want to build that ecosystem and those processes and that client experience out to as good as we can get it,
Yeah.
and then just let it cruise, man. That's kind of just where we're at right now. I don't want to do a whole lot. I'm also a big lifestyle guy, so I love to travel. I love to spend time with my family and friends and my boys. So I just want to build a life that is by design and not by default.
Yeah. Dude, I love that. That's the whole intent of why we start doing this, right?
Yeah.
Um, you know, we like to say a lot of times, in investor fields, like you started doing this to own a business, not to be the chief bottle washer, right?
Yep.
Which is what a lot of us do when we jump into these like we create all these extra jobs for ourselves in it. If I'm not doing this, nothing happens and gets done, and da da
Mhm.
da. So I love
Yeah.
that you're, by design, and but it does take the work. It does take work. It doesn't, you don't just get to go take off because, what, I started a business, so now I can go. It takes work to get to be able to do that, and
Yeah, man,
have your
for sure.
business run. Yeah.
For sure.
Uh, don't I know it, man? It's
For sure.
a lot of lessons, I'm sure, and things like that you learn throughout. And I did have one more question. I almost forgot to ask you this on your
Mhm.
construction side of things. Um, something we're seeing a lot of, and this is a question more for me.
Yeah.
What are the impacts you're seeing right now, construction wise, as far as cost, materials, things like that? Are you seeing anything like in the immediate side of with deals you're doing and working on?
We haven't felt it yet. I know it's coming. It's
Yeah.
probably coming, but we haven't really felt it yet. Um, Apart from stuff like drywall and lumber, we have a warehouse that we inventory a lot of materials, and we try to buy in bulk, and we catch a lot of the sales, and um you know pricing moves, but we haven't seen a big jump just yet.
Yeah,
Uh,
we're in that preparation phase right now because
yeah,
like, and that's why I'm like, it's like I said, this is a for me thing. Is like trying to. That's part of I love doing things like this. Is like we can talk about things that are, oh yeah, we're seeing it now, we're not seeing it yet. I
yeah,
think we're all seeing. No, we all know that it's kind of coming.
yeah.
So I was more curious, like, is it impacting you yet, or what are you doing to plan for that? Are we underwriting our deals a little bit differently to account for that?
I think you
Um,
should. I think you should. I'm already like, I kind of already shoot high on my rehab numbers and more conservative on my ARV. You know, I have to when I underwrite deals, I'm underwriting them in such a way where the purchase price is what it spits out at the end. Like that, you got to stay true to your max allowable offer. A lot of people want to get into a deal so bad that they force a deal, and
sure.
they spend more just to get into the deal, and they don't really think about how they got to get out of it.
Hmm.
And so I'm definitely already shooting high. So most of the times I'm coming in under budget on my rehab because I budgeted enough, and I said, hey, this is just where my purchase price needs to be. And I don't force the deals. I just look at more deals. If you look at your closing ratio or conversion rate, if you know that, hey, I got to look at 20, 30 deals before I get one, you want to do 5 deals a month, then just look at 100 to 150 deals,
That's fair.
and just make sure that they fit, reverse engineer your numbers to make sure like you have enough room in your rehab budget for even. I just had to replace a sewer line for $13,000, man, that
Yeah,
I didn't know it would happen, but guess what, we had an extra, I think at the end, like 9 or 10K that we didn't like spend. So look, it cost me 3 grand more.
sure.
So it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you can live on that. Yeah, you can. Yeah, but if you didn't underwrite that well in the beginning, like that
Yeah.
13K would have been like, dadgummit, that
But
could have
I
hurt.
was always the guy who was like, it's really a 50K rehab, but we should be able to do it for 30. I was that guy
Yeah.
early on in my career, very early on in my career.
How did you learn the lesson?
Just kept, just kept coming in over budget, man, and
Uh-huh.
not making enough or breaking even. And thank God, knock on wood, we haven't like lost money on a deal, because the market has also just kept going up and up and up, which is great.
It saved
But
you, hadn't it? Yeah. But
yeah,
now, especially, Cleveland a little bit differently because it's a little more insulated with how it's positioned in the market.
yeah,
Um, but in Florida, dude, we're taking a beating.
I
You know,
heard that. I have buddies there that are saying, man, stuff's just not moving.
I've had flips that sat for 9, 10 months with not an offer, and we're priced under, what we projected our ARV to be, well
What
under
what
it.
area? What area of Florida?
I'm in North Central Florida, but this is across a lot of it. Southwest Florida, which over the 2020 through 2023 run, where Florida went boom, like really crazy.
Yep.
It was one of the fastest growing markets in the country. I was also operating out of that market for a little while, and you see, there's a Cape Coral, Florida,
Yep.
is one of the slowest moving markets in the country right now. They have houses that are
Oof.
sitting for 18 months, some of them.
Whoa. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
new construction was going like crazy because of so much influx of people moving in. And now they're just like literally like, rewind, if you remember, you weren't in the business, neither was I, but back in 2008, when all these, '07, '08, when these construction builders were building all these new homes, and then '08 happens and crashes, and all those houses just sat there. Cape
Yep.
Coral right now, you could drive down there and look, and there's new home construction just sitting.
Yeah.
No activity,
That's
nothing. No, and it's weird. And that's an isolated market, but across the state, for me, locally, I'm, like I said, 9, 10 months of no activity, and it's weird because they're not used to that.
That's why I look at my investment approach same way I look at businesses, right? I look at it as I would rather go B2B than B2C. And B2C is building new homes for people to buy and move into, retail flips, and even as a real estate agent, serving homeowners. I personally, like, I don't have anything against people who want to do that, but the investment model makes more sense to me because it's a B2B thing.
I
I'm
like that a
selling you
lot.
something that's going to make you money. You know, when people are digging for gold, you sell them the shovels. That's how you make money, right? So like investors are buying in every single climate. When the rates were high,
Right.
when rates were low, investors are buying. So if I'm
Give them
even if
what they
I'm
want.
building probably multifamily that I can rent. You know, like I'm personally, that's not my model, and that's why I've stuck to my market and stuck to what
Dude,
what
I
makes
love it. Yeah, and you mentioned too, like you went through the season of like, yeah, I had to figure out that I can't do that, and we all go
100%.
through that, man. We all do. Like you don't get to where you're at from not learning some lessons along the way.
Yeah,
Like that's
for
how
sure.
the nature of it. But man, all right, I apologize. I just looked at the time. I want to respect your time back, Wayne. If
Or
people want to reach out and connect with you, man, what's the best way for that to happen?
yeah, you can reach out to me online. I'm very heavy on Instagram, so Wayne Brooks REI on Instagram. That's going to be a great place to reach out to me. You can also reach out to my team and find us contact at clehomepros.com. That's contact at clehomepros with an S.com. And we'll definitely be able to help you out with whatever you're looking to do in Cleveland. We've got resources for any type of situation. So
Fantastic. Guys, we'll put that in the show notes for all of you. And it's like if you'd be silly not to reach out to Wayne. So guys, I encourage you all to reach out, at least at a minimum, jump and follow on Instagram, guys. Like, come on.
yeah, for sure.
But Wayne, man, this has been great. I really appreciate you being here and doing this with me.
Thanks, Brad. I appreciate you having me on, man.
Dude, it was great. Yeah, thanks. And guys, to you as well. Thanks so much for hanging out and spending your time with us. We'll see each of you on the next episode. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.